Hello beautiful internet family, Dan here from danstube.tv, and today I've got my must-know tips and settings for the newly released DJI RC Pro, which is this gorgeous smart controller here. Now there's really nothing on the internet to showcase like the best tips and settings. There's a few videos here and there, but really nothing out there that's worthwhile. So I thought I would create something with my must-know tips and settings for this newly released smart controller from DJI. The first tip, which is probably one of the more important tips to know, is how to bind or how to connect the controller to your drone. Now, at the moment, at the time of me filming this video, the RC Pro is only compatible with the Mavic 3, which you can see in the background there, and the DJI Air 2S. You need to make sure that the Air 2S is up to the latest firmware and DJI Fly app is up to the latest firmware, all that kind of stuff. And then from there, you can actually bind it to the Air 2S. But right now, I'm gonna test it out with the Mavic 3. So the controller's on, we're in the DJI Fly application right here. Now you wanna turn on your drone as if you normally would. Let it power on, do its thing. It'll have a little dance, make some fun noises, and now it's ready to go. So it's actually not in the pairing mode right now, but before I get to that, I'm just gonna show you what they kind of recommend you doing. So you can click on the connection guide, and then it'll actually start searching for the aircraft. Now, this works fine, but not all of the time. That's the problem I find with it. It seems to work most of the time, but if you do have issues, like it will pop up saying unable to connect to aircraft, you just click on the camera view in the top right corner. You then click on the 3 dots in the top right corner, click on control, and then scroll right down to the bottom, and you'll see repair to aircraft brackets link. So this is the linking process here. You tap on that, and then you just press and hold on your drone. Wait for it to make that noise. Boom. It really is as simple as that to connect up the RC Pro to your Mavic 3 or to your Air 2S. Pretty much that's the process. Boom, you're ready to go, and then you do the exact same process if you wanted to then connect it up to the Air 2S, for example. I could literally just turn off this drone, the Mavic 3, and then do the same process, turning on the Air 2S, connecting it through the DJI Fly app the same way that I showed you, and then you're connected and ready to go. This next tip is something that I just don't see enough people doing, and it's the fact that people just don't have an understanding of how to properly set up the antennas. So a lot of people I've seen who fly their drone, they just have no idea how to do it properly. So the idea is once you've got it in its position, let's say that the drone has taken off and it's directly above you. Now, having the antennas flat like this, if I was to hold my controller flat like this, for example, it means that everything, all the signals are getting sent directly up because that's the largest surface area there and that's where it's getting sent from. So if it's directly above me, you want to have the antennas positioned like this. Now let's say that I fly off to the distance over here, like 100 meters away. If you kept the antennas like this, it would mean that the signal's getting sent up and then it's bouncing back in the direction that you actually want the signal to be going. So all you've got to do in this situation is you literally just want to push them back like that. So now you can see that the flat area, which is where you want the signal to be sent from, is actually now facing the drone. So the idea is that you want that area, the largest surface area, to be pointing at the drone. So you've got the highest chance of getting the most stable connection. So then let's say you fly your drone back overhead and now it's directly above your head. You don't want it to have the position like this because now it's, again, sending the signals this way and then they're bouncing back to your drone. Again, just flip them down and then it's going to be sending the signal directly up to your drone. It really is that simple. Just think, if the drone's over here, angle the sticks like this, the antennas like this. If the drone's directly above my head, then I'm going to angle it down like that. It's really that simple, but I just don't see enough people doing it. So keep that in mind. Remember the correct way to position the antennas when you're flying your drone. This is a really fun tip here. Basically, the idea is that you can use an external hard drive, a little portable hard drive like this guy here, to actually store all of your content on if you don't want to store it on the internal storage of the RC Pro. So literally you just plug it into the bottom here. You'll see there's USB-C. So I'm using USB-C to USB-C. I can now see that the light on the hard drive has powered on. And in the top left corner, it will pop up very soon. There we go, there's that USB signal. if I swipe down, I can see it's checking the G-Tech USB drive. Now, if this isn't in the correct format, if your hard drive isn't in the recommended format, then it will actually give you an option to format your hard drive. Keep in mind that when you format a hard drive, you're going to lose everything on that hard drive. So make sure you back it up if you actually have anything on it. This was a fresh hard drive from SanDisk. So basically what I did was I just went through the prompts on here to format my drive, and then it formats it to an exFAT. So exFAT, that's basically the format you want it in. Now it's not FAT32, it's not NTSC, it's literally exFAT or exFAT. You can do that on your computer if you want to, but it actually gives you the prompt through the RC Pro and it gives you a chance to format it directly through here. So quite an easy process. I did find that it takes a little while to kind of recognize the drive sometimes. It's just obviously grabbing all the data and putting it into the appropriate system, the appropriate folder system on here. But then once it's connected, you'll see here 1.97 terabytes free. This is the Android device that it formatted for me. So I can click on that. I can see the video files that I've put on here. So the idea is basically, let's say you're out flying your drone, you then want to back up the footage straight away, plug in the hard drive straight away, and then you can literally just copy all the footage directly onto your hard drive. Probably the best way to back up on the run. And one of my favorite tips, I would say, because it just gives you so many options for storage then. The idea of using the RC Pro as a media player is something that's a little bit odd, but it's actually a really unique tip for people out there who are going on a road trip, So let's say, for example, you need your phone for the GPS. Let's say you don't want your son, daughter, whoever it may be in the back to have your phone to watch content. They don't have an iPad, they don't have anything, they're just sitting in the back, right? So the idea is that you can actually preload up movies, TV shows, whatever it is you want to do, load it up onto the hard drive, and then you can give them this device, which then allows them to watch content on an amazing display. It's a really crispy display. You can also then bump up the brightness. So let's say, for example, direct sunlight is shining in the back seat. This is a 1000 nit display. So that direct sunlight is going to stand no chance against this gorgeous display. So whoever's in the back watching their movie or TV show or whatever it may be, they've got a really awesome display here. And then they can literally just play it on the fly. You're in the car, they're set up in the back. It won't be connected up to anything, so they can't view anything on your phone, they can't change anything. It's literally then just works as a media player for them. And it does a great job. It's such a gorgeous display. So this is a great alternative if you have no other options and you're going on a road trip. It's a really unconventional way to use the RC Pro, but it's there as another option. The other option you have as well is you can actually stream any streaming service you want directly to the RC Pro. You'd need to set up a hotspot from your phone or whatever device you have in the car or at home or however you're going to be doing this. But as long as you're connected to the internet, you can then literally just go into Firefox, go to the appropriate streaming site that you want to stream, whatever, Netflix, Stan, Hulu, whatever it is that you want to do, sign in, and then you can actually stream it directly to this device as well. That's another way that you can set this up as a media player on the fly. I'm loading up Netflix here, then the process is literally just signing in, and then you can start streaming as you normally would with any other device. Seeing as this is an Android device, it's pretty much got all the functionality that your phone, tablet, or even an Android TV, it's going to have the same functionality. So as long as you're signed in, you can then watch and stream whatever it is that you want while on the run, which is another handy thing if you don't want to drain your battery life of your phone, or if you've got someone in the car that wants to, watch something while you're on a road trip. It's just a really easy way to do it. Another really cool tip is related to the playback from the actual device itself. So it's got a few different ways, different gestures to interact with your video content, which I thought was worthwhile mentioning. As you would expect, tapping on the screen brings up the pause button like that. But the thing that's really cool is if I want to fast forward a little bit, I just swipe like this and I can scrub through the video to whatever point I want, and then it will just start playing from there. I do notice that when you're playing a video from an external hard drive, you just need to wait a bit for it to buffer. So that's literally how you scrub between the video. You just swipe like that, left to right, to choose the point that you want to stop at. And then if you want to change the volume, you just swipe up and down on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see swiping up puts it to 100%, swipe it down to 0%, 26%, whatever we want. Nice and simple with a nice gesture control. And on the left side of the screen, if you swipe up and down, you're then going to change the brightness of the display. So this is just a nice, easy way to interact with the content without having to tap on different things and change settings. It's just nice and easy. So you've got the left-hand side for brightness, the right-hand side for the volume, and then swiping left to right will scrub between the video. So a really cool way to interact with the media that you're playing back on the RC Pro. The next tip is related to third-party applications on the RC Pro. So by default, you just get this row of applications down the bottom here. So you just get a few of the basics. But as you can see, I've also downloaded UAV Forecast here, and I've also got the OpenSky application as well. Now this process is really easy to do, but it's a little bit confusing and it's not explained to you. So the idea is you want to load up Firefox, which is the default browser that you get on the RC Pro. You don't have to do anything, it's just there ready to go. So I've gone to the Google Play Store and I've just typed in drone. I've then found an app that I want to download, which is the Drone Buddy application. And you'll see a nice green install button, but wait, it doesn't work. This Google account is not yet associated with the device. I looked through all the settings, I looked online, I tried to figure this out for the life of me, but that's not actually how you download applications. What you have to do is you have to click on the URL here. So we're going to copy that URL now, and that's the Drone Buddy URL. We're then going to go over to a different tab that I've got loaded up, and you want to go to APK Downloader. Now, if you just go to Google, type in APK Downloader, you'll see that there are a bunch of different APK downloaders. This is the one that I use. Seems to work fine for me. It's just apps.evoxy.com/APK-downloader. Now, the additional URL here is when I downloaded the OpenSky app. By default, if you go to APK Downloader, this is what it looks like. It's literally just a little box where you paste the link in, and that's the website down the bottom there. So the idea is you just tap on that little field, and then I want to paste the link in. Then from there, I just click on Generate Download Link, give it a sec, and boom, there's all the details. That's the application we want. Scroll down, click here to download, click on that one. It will then pop up telling me that it wants to download it. You just do your thing, let it download. You can see in the top left, it's downloading for us. And now it's ready to go. So all I have to do is just tap on that notification once it's ready to go. Tap on that, pops up, do you want to install this application, Drone Buddy? Yes, we do. Once it's downloaded, I can then open it up. And there we go. We've now got the Drone Buddy application on our RC Pro. Nice and simple. I do find that some of the applications aren't perfectly optimized for the RC Pro. Some of them work fine, but you just got to kind of keep that in mind as you're downloading different apps. You'll see now that it's on my home screen. I've got Drone Buddy, I've got OpenSky, and then I've got the UAV Forecast application. Nice and simple to download those third-party apps, but it is a little bit of a process, so just keep that in mind if you were trying to figure it out, because I've done all the work for you now. I was trying to figure it out for a little while there, and there's not too much details, not too much information out there, but that is the process, and then you get your third-party apps straight on your device. If you are interested in the DJI RC Pro, I have a fantastic saving that you can use right now. If you go to the D1 Store's website, which will be popping up on the screen right now, it'll also be linked in the description below, and then you just use the code DANSTube, you can save 10% off the DJI RC Pro. Right now it's 1,500 Australian dollars, so 10% of that is a sizable saving. So if you are considering the RC Pro or any other drone or camera on the market through the D1 store, then make sure to use the code DANSTube to save 10%. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you want to, for whatever reason, download games, streaming services, whatever that may be, you can literally just do that through here as well. So let's do a bit of cringe. Let's type in Candy Crush, and you can see we've got the Candy Crush Saga. Click on it and it would be the exact same process. I can just copy and paste that into the APK downloader. And I guess the reason for doing this, again, with that example I was saying before, you got someone in the back, on a road trip, it's your kid, it's whoever it may be, they don't have a device with them, and they are a bit bored. You can literally just set this up with games, streaming services, and whatever else. But none of your other information and details on there. They can't play around with anything or see too much. It's just then basically a media device where they can just play games and watch whatever they want on it. So that's just a cool little tip as well. If you want to download a different browser, you can download Google Chrome or whatever else you would like to download. The next tip, you can actually find all the details in this little app that's called Tips. So as you scroll through or swipe through, it will pop up with this little section here. So this is the button functions section. So the idea behind this is it just gives you a little bit more functionality on the fly. So as long as you know these shortcuts, you can do things pretty much instantly without having to swipe down or go to a different app or do anything like that. So the idea is you press and hold the back button. It does just say press back and corresponding button, but I just find it easier to press and hold it, and then you go with the different shortcuts. So for example, if I press and hold and go up, it's going to take me to the home screen, you know, nice and simple. And then I'll go back into the tips, which for whatever reason has reset back to here. And now, for example, if I want to adjust the volume, I can press and hold the back button and then use the little toggle wheel on the back. And that's how I can adjust the volume. You can see it just pops up with a little volume wheel there. Same thing, but on the left-hand side, press and hold and then adjust. That will then adjust my brightness. So a nice, easy way to adjust your brightness. Let's say you're flying your drone, you just want to bump the brightness up, press and hold the back button and then scroll that wheel. Nice and easy to do. I love that. If you press and hold the back button and then press the shutter button on top here, it will actually take a screenshot for you. If you press and hold and do the record, it will start recording your screen, which we don't want to do because I'm already recording my screen right now, as you can see. So we won't do that one, but there's a few others here. So you've got the home, shortcut settings, and then recent. So nice and easy. I love this whole process. You can use this 5D controller here, so I can press and hold, go down, it'll bring my shortcuts up. That will go back. So pressing and holding and going up will go back, pressing and holding going down will bring up your, or bring down your shortcut menu. And then you can also go to your recent, so press and hold and go left, and then it will also bring up all the recent apps that you have opened up recently, nice and easy. But it's just nice to know what all the shortcuts are so you can do it without having to think about it, and especially not having to go into the tips settings while you're flying your drone. You know, you just want to know what all of these mean. So you can actually go to the tip settings to see where all the functions are and then just have a little practice. But nice and easy to do. I love that. Love how easy this whole process is. And yeah, that's one of my favorite tips as well. My next tip actually requires the DJI Fly application. So we need to turn on the drone again, which we will do. And the idea is basically to program the C1 and C2 buttons. So that's these two buttons on the back here. We've got C2 and then C1. Really nice buttons and in a perfect position when you're holding the controller. You can program those through the DJI Fly app. Plus you can also customize and program the 5D button, which is this little toggle here. It's like a little joystick. So the reason it's 5D is it's got the option to push in, and then you've also got 4 directions. That means it's 5 directional button. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna load up the DJI Fly application. And then once we're in the DJI Fly application, we wanna click the 3 dots in the top right corner. We then wanna go across to control. And then as we scroll down, you will see we have all of the options here. So we can press C1 and that will center the gimbal. So as you see, it will point the gimbal down and then point the gimbal up in the center. So if, for example, we've dragged off to one side like this, I can just press that button and boom, it's reset back to where I want it to go. So that's with the C1. The C2 is the light underneath. So I've turned that on. I don't know if you can see that underneath the drone. I don't know if it's actually turned it on, but you can see auxiliary light on, off, and enabled. So that's something that you would want to do if you're flying in like a relatively low light area. You can tap that button to do that. But then you also have the 5D buttons as well. You can see upper will control the AE lock. You've got follow/FPV mode, decrease EV, increase EV, and then camera settings. But you can tap on these and you can customize these as well. So you can have exactly the settings that you want for these buttons here. Now that's something that you don't get with the default controller. You literally just get C1 and C2. You get 2 customization options. Well, it's actually not C1 and C2, it's just the FN button, which is the function button. And the way that they do it is 1 press is basically C1 and 2 presses is C2. But here you've got 2 physical buttons on the back of the controller. Then you've also got this physical button here, which is the 5D button. So then as I tap off this screen, you can see that as I'm doing the different directions of the FN, you see that as I press, it's going to open up the menu, which is nice and easy. If I want to go upper, that's the AE lock. If I want to go the FPV mode, I can press down and it's going to change that for me. So it's nice and simple to just adjust that on the fly. Love it that you can just press the button, pull it straight into the camera settings. Then I can press this button to recenter, and obviously all of this is customizable, so you can do exactly what you want to do with it. But it's just nice to have an additional few options when it comes to the customization of the buttons. The final few settings are actually located in the settings of the RC Pro. Now, there are a few other things up here which you can control how everything runs just with tapping on a different button. So you've got the mobile data option if you have the 4G dongle on the drone. You've got Bluetooth, do not disturb. You've got all those settings in there. You can also tap on that auto brightness setting. So it will adjust the brightness based on the light around you. That's a handy one as well. But those things are nice and easy and at a glance. I thought I'd have a look through the settings and dive into all the settings and see if there was anything else that I could recommend. Now, surprisingly enough, there's not too much in here. So there are only 2 small settings I've got to show you here. I was quite surprised that there weren't more options in the settings. But regardless, still cool to have a few little things to recommend here. The first setting from the native settings, which are only available in the RC Pro, is in the apps and notifications. So remember that this controller is an Android device. That means that you have the usual things that you would expect from an Android device. So that means that I can see all the apps, I can see what's been opened and how they're all running and whatnot. But as I scroll down, I can click on the Auto Start Application selection. So by default, when I turn on the controller, it launches up DJI Fly. Now that makes a lot of sense to me. Why would you really want any other application? Well, you might actually want UAV forecast. You might want to load that up immediately to see what the weather conditions are before you even consider going to DJI Fly. So you can literally tap on that. Then when the controller starts up, it's going to open up UAV forecast. Nice and handy and easy to choose. After you've dealt with the auto start application, you can then go to default apps here. You've got Assist app, Browser app, Home app, and then the opening links, which it will basically give you a few little options in here. But the idea is if you don't like Firefox, for example, you can click on the Browser app. Once you've downloaded Google Chrome or whatever else you use, it will then pop up with the option to select that as your default browser app. This is something that is more of a personal preference. Let's say you just don't like Firefox, or you've got all of your login details and everything that you need through Google Chrome, then you might as well set that up as your default browser application. And it's as simple as that to do it through the settings. And then the only other setting that I thought about recommending here, there are definitely a few little settings in here, but nothing too crash hot, nothing too exciting. The other one is in the display settings. So as you scroll down, click on display, you can then scroll down to colors. Now this is basically just how the colors display on this gorgeous display here. So natural is what it is set up as default. You've then got boosted and you've got adaptive. The thing that's crazy though is you don't really notice, like this is the example here, this little photo here. As you tap on them, you can notice like a slight change, but there's no major difference between the 3 modes. So it really just depends again on personal preference. Adaptive is quite a cool one because as the name suggests, it's adaptive. Boosted is quite nice as well because it just boosts the colors. You can see the yellows really pop down here where the sand is, but natural also works as well. So if you want a little bit more of a boosted color palette, click on that. If you want a bit more of an adaptive one, you can choose that as well. And that is it. They are all of my settings for the DJI RC Pro. Some really cool settings in there. I really hope that it's helped a bunch of people out there, seeing as there's really nothing on the RC Pro out there relating to tips and settings. So I hope you learned something from this video. If you've got a friend or a family member or someone who's got the RC Pro, definitely send this link on to them because I'm sure it will help them out. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to have a fantastic day. I will chat to you in the next video and peace out.